Buddy, this is Heady Set Go, episode 7. Reintroducing the podcast. It's been a minute. It's been a crazy year. A lot of stuff has happened with Subatomic Hero, but I really enjoyed doing the podcast. So I'm kind of reintroducing it, and yeah, so far I've already had some technical difficulties, but these things happen with the technology, and I wanted to do like a live drawing as well, but I was having difficulties with that as well. So, anyways, this is today. Our guest is going to be Rylan Torres. And Rylan, I've met through this local kava bar that I go to, which I don't know if any of you guys know, but kava is kind of this root drink. Maybe Rylan can talk about it a little bit too, but it kind of just gives you this little buzz. But anyways, it's really great community of people, very non-intoxicating thing. But anyways, I've met a lot of musicians at the Carver Bar, which is called Karma House, and you know if anyone is watching this or has watched previous episodes, kind of what we do on Heady Set Go is bring musicians, creative types, artists, and we talk about heady stuff and mostly music. So without further ado, um, please introduce yourself, Rylan, where you're from, what bands you play in, and we'll get into it.
Sweet, sounds good. All right, so I was um I was born in Denver, and I'm from Denver, so that's pretty cool. and
Nice.
I've been drumming for about 12 years, so basically since I was like 4. and
Nice.
I'm in right now. I'm in Catalyst, and then I have a side project with my other guitar or with my rhythm guitar player from Catalyst and my lead guitarist, other vocalists, and we're called Improvised Slaughter, and we're a improv band, so everything's just on the go and made up, no practice at all.
Nice, dude. That's pretty cool. Well, it shows that you started at the ripe age of 4 years old, and I've got a
Yeah,
chance to
yeah.
play some music with you. And so, Catalyst, am I saying that right? Catalyst?
Oh shoot.
Did you get that?
It's kind of lagging out a little bit.
Okay. Um, Still laggy.
It's better now.
Okay, so you can hear me again.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's Catalyst, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Awesome, man. So how do you spell that?
It's Katalysk.
Nice, man. So how long have you been with Catalyst?
Let's see, about I want to say close to a year now, actually, which is hard to believe. Probably about
Nice,
9 months I've been with the band.
nice.
Yeah.
So how would you describe the music that you guys play?
um, I would basically describe our music as like it's thrash and a little bit of death metal, and I would basically say we're like the heaviest thrash metal band because we the sound is total thrash metal, but then we add those death metal like parts in some of our music. And Catalyst totally sounds like a Florida band. We sound like we're from Florida and not Denver. So,
Huh.
but yeah, I love our music. It's so awesome.
Nice, man. Yeah, I got a chance to check it out, and at some point during the podcast, we can give a little preview of what you got going on. And I gotta say, production value, everything. It sounds freaking great, man. Fucking
Oh
awesome.
yeah, for sure. Thank you.
And
I appreciate it.
yeah, man. So, how did you meet these guys? Because you're pretty young, right? You're like
Yeah,
18, right?
I'm only 18. So my dad, it's a funny story actually. So I just quit my first band because that wasn't going anywhere at all. And so my dad's like, I was really discouraged at the time because I'm like, man, how am I going to find another band that's like good and dedicated musicians and stuff? And he's like, why don't you try the app Band Mix? And I'm like, all right, what the hell? So I sign up for Band Mix and whatnot, and I'm just scrolling through, looking through bands. And Bandmix is a great website if you're looking for a band, any musicians in your local area, and you can take like you can type in like thrash metal or seeking a drummer or whatnot, like a band seeking for a drummer, and it'll give you a list of all the bands in your area that are seeking a drummer. So I was scrolling through and I see their album artwork, and I'm just like, holy shit, that looks pretty awesome. So I click on it and I see their profile, and I'm like, man, I'm gonna contact these guys and like see if they're still looking for a drummer because it's after I got in, they told me that was a really old like that's been up there for a little over a year, and so I get in contact with the bass player Garrick, and he's a really cool dude. I sent him, the basic like, hi, I'm Rylan. Just explain. I've been playing drums for 11 years, and I'm interested in being the drummer for your band. And he's like, oh, right on. And then I finally get in, talk to him, and um, he's like, yeah, like 2 or 3 of the songs, and we'll schedule an audition for you. And I'm like, sweet. And then, so I learned like 2 or 3 of the songs. And while I'm listening, I'm just like, there's no way in hell I can play this stuff. But, well, at the time, but then I'm just like, no, no, hold on. I'll I'm gonna sit down, listen to the parts, just and basically get as close to the album as I can. So yeah, then I got like about 3 weeks of just straight practicing and grinding on these 2 songs, and then I go in for my audition, and they're like, yeah, just go ahead and we'll go ahead and run through these 2 songs and see what we think. And I'm like, all right, sounds good. So we run through the 2 songs, and they're all all of them are just like, dude, that was freaking awesome. Like, you're in. And I'm like, no way. But yeah,
Nice.
even yeah, so it's pretty cool. Even the guitar player, our rhythm guitar player, he's on one of the most popular songs in Nation, and he really liked that, and he actually told their other drummer to do that, but he didn't do it. So he was glad. He thought that was really cool. I did that, and then anyways, they said, you know, just learn like 3 more songs, and then come back and we'll play those, and until you learn the rest of the album. I'm like, all right, sweet, awesome. So yeah, that's how I got in the band.
Nice, man. So
Yeah, yeah.
that's cool, man. That's cool. So what was drumming your first instrument, or was there something that became before that, or
Yes, drumming's kind of my first instrument and the only instrument I'll ever play. I mean,
right on, right on.
so, so basically how it started is I was just like 3 years old, and I got the pots and pans out of the pantry and just started banging on them with wooden spoons and whatnot. And my dad's like, he's gonna be a drummer. And funny enough, my mom, uh, like when I was like 2, my dad had this little 3-piece oh, what is it? The 3-piece premiere kit, which I still have, and he got it $500 from a buddy. And my mom's like, "Why do we have a drum set? You don't play drums." So then my dad, I'm about 3 years old, and my dad picks me up and sets me on the drum throne, and I just start whacking him and stuff. And my dad's like, "Rylan's gonna be a drummer, I know it." So then the
Nice.
time goes by, and I'm like 4, and I'm still banging on him and stuff. And then by the time I was 6, I started actually taking lessons from my first drum teacher, which was one of my dad's friends' buddies, who was like, "Oh yeah, I'll teach Rylan some of the basics to drums." And I'm like, he's like, "All right, cool." And then I would just pay him like my dad would pay him like, I don't know, 15 an hour, whatever. And I just had like a hour, 30-minute lesson. So like every other week. And yeah. And then after that, I played my first performance when I was 7, and in garage band. And the first song I played was We Will Rock You, of course. And then I played I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett. And
Huh.
yeah, and then it just took off from there. And then I got um like about a year later, I switched drum teachers, and one of my mom's friends actually recommended the American Music School, which is where I teach now.
Nice.
And so we're like, all right, cool. So I took lessons with my drum teacher there for about until I got my job there. And yeah, and then I stopped taking lessons. But yeah, so I took lessons up to until I was about 17. So yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome, man. It's I kind of started in a similar way with just kind of finding stuff around the house to beat on, and
Yeah, yeah.
devoting my practice that way, and eventually the same thing happened to me. My family was like, he seems dedicated to this, so we'll
Right.
get him a little drum set, and
For sure.
it's awesome, man. It's awesome to find a passion like that at such a young age
Oh
and
yeah.
really devote yourself to doing something like that. So what is this American Music Institute? I've never really heard of that. Is that like an
So
online thing or
no, it's actually a private, not a private, I shouldn't say, but a home business that started, and it started a long time ago because I just found out from my dad, like they've been doing this for 20 something years, or maybe even 30. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, and they just started a little music school at it was an old church that they turned into the music school. And yeah, they've been doing it ever since. And then my drum teacher, one of the drum teachers was leaving and moving to Florida. And then they're like, well, we need to fill the spot. And my drum teacher's like, well, what about Rylan? I mean, I've been teaching him for 8 years, and he knows how I teach and stuff. And he's
right?
almost 18, so he could take the spot. And they're like, sure, totally. And it was like the easiest thing in the world. I didn't even have to. I thought I would had to go in for an interview, but they're like, Rylan, this isn't even an interview. Like, we're just gonna hire you and stuff. And I'm like, no way. Like this, it seems too good to be true. But no, it's great. It's a great little music school up here in Lakewood. And yeah, they teach everything, man. Like they teach banjo, uh string instruments, flutes, like everything you could think of, like guitar, bass, drums, all of it. So it's a great school like bring your kids in and learn it.
Nice, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome that you had that opportunity, and then obviously you
yeah,
worked hard for it, but then later on it kind of just fell into your lap, and
right.
so you,
Yeah,
so
and
you, go ahead.
it's basically my dream job, honestly, just teaching drums to kids because I don't have to go into work like at a place I don't want to be there and just be like, man, I don't want to be at work right now. I just go in like happy every day to be there, and I'm so thankful for what I got right now because I got this my dream job basically, and I'm in a great thrash, a great metal band, and I'm just super thankful for where I'm at right now. So yeah,
Hell yeah, man. That's a beautiful thing, and I think you know the more you stick with what you love and what you're passionate about, like the more good things are going to come from that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
exactly.
and that's cool. I think it's especially for drumming, it's such like a tactile thing where it's like it's I took lessons too for a little while, and it's on and off, and it's so important to have someone to kind of show you the ropes. I think it's like
Oh
we're in
yeah,
this
definitely.
we're yeah, we're like in this blessed time of there's so much that we can learn online for free, but like
Right.
there's so many little nuanced things to learning an instrument where it really does help to have someone to show you a little bit of the ropes. Like I'm learning guitar right
Yeah.
now, and
Right on.
it's been about 6 or 7 months, and I've always kind of messed around with the guitar, but I really never took the time to learn it properly. And a lot of stuff I'm learning on my own, but a lot of stuff, I'm just so grateful that I have so many musician friends who play guitar.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I can be hanging out at like Karma or something, or like a friend's house, and I'll pick up the guitar, and they're like, yeah, maybe you should try doing this, and then it'll make it a little bit easier. And I'm like, oh my god, like
Right.
that one little thing of, hey, maybe you hold the neck slightly different, or maybe you hold the drumstick slightly different, or position your arm a little bit different, and it just makes it so much easier you
Oh
know
yeah.
and
Yeah.
that human interaction is still very important, and it's cool that there's still young people out there trying to learn the drums.
Yeah. Definitely.
So like what kind of music did you first get into? Like what's the first CD you ever bought, or first band you started ever listening to?
So my dad is a bass player, and so he's been playing bass his whole life and doing vocals. And basically, when I was around him, he was always playing music. Like it didn't matter the time of the day. Like he would always be playing music, and he played um, he played a lot of funk, a lot of funky stuff. Um, he played Stevie Wonder. Um, who else? Cool in the Game, Kiss, and then Iron Maiden. So he really showed me the ropes of like the classics, and then like the classic metal and stuff. And that really, like as a kid, of course, I had no idea. Like I just thought it was really cool, but I had no idea about it until a little bit later when I got older. And honestly, and then my aunt had this CD that she just burned and put a bunch of songs on. And one of the songs on there was "Shoots and Ladders" by Korn. And I listened to that when I was like 5 years old, and I was like, "Oh my!" Like what the hell is this? And I just thought it was the coolest shit ever. So then when I got older, like in my teens, I started listening to like some classic stuff like Red Hot Chili Peppers, Led Zeppelin, like a whole variety of music. And I didn't really get into metal until middle school. It was, but yeah, that's kind of some of the stuff my dad showed me and my family showed me. So, oh,
Nice, man. Um, Sorry, I'm getting like something just popped up on my screen.
no worries.
Um, that's cool, man. That's cool. Corn is like I definitely discovered corn around middle school time, and
Yeah.
there were some other bands kind of in that genre of metal that were pretty cool. I feel like like Lamb of God or like Slipknot, or they were
Oh
all
yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah. Slipknot's one of my favorite metal bands, and it always will be. Cause like that whole genre, like the whole new metal genre, was like the first metal I was getting into, and it was like Korn, Slipknot, System of a Down, all that stuff, and I just thought it was like so raw and so powerful, like because it just like Korn, when I would hear like their self-titled album really hits me because like I heard that's probably my favorite Korn album, and it just makes you want to like jump and break shit. But it's
right,
just like
right,
the energy is totally there, and you could hear that in Jonathan Davis lyrics because that's real life. That's his life. He was what he was dealing with day to day in his lyrics, and you could feel the hatred that he got from that, and just like how he grew up with a shitty life, honestly. And but he put it in this art where he could express how he was feeling, and that just really hit me. So yeah.
totally. And I think I grew up listening to a lot of metal too, and I think like it's so misunderstood in a lot of ways, like because it's like this. It can come across as this really angry, almost depressing, dark music, and it is a lot of times, but it's really about expressing that side of yourself and getting it out,
Right, right.
and and I think that can be healthy to a lot of people, you know, or finding like refuge in that kind of music, especially I think there's so much misunderstood youth, and they're going through so much angst, and I think that's it's good to have music that you can identify with in
Yeah,
that way.
definitely. Like like if you have like a young kid or a fan that likes Corn, like who knows, maybe they could like relate to what Jonathan Davis is going through. Maybe their life at home or is not that great, and like some stuff is shitty, but then they listen to this music and they can relate to that, and then that's why they support him because they believe in what he's saying, and like they're like, oh yeah, well this is kind of like what's going on at my home, so and they could get their energy out in a like and feel what he's going through and relate to it. But yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. So
Yeah.
so what so I'm sure you've been involved with kind of the local music scene here in
Oh yeah.
Denver for a little bit. So like what kind of venues and stuff were you going to? Like what was that like, cuz I've had a few different guests who grew up in Denver, and they're everyone kind of finds their niche of like venues or like underground scenes or house shows or what have you. What did that look like to you? And I feel like that's like such an integral part of someone's music taste and just how they grow as a person and as a musician.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I I didn't honestly start go well. I would go to like like concerts with my parents and stuff, but that was some of the bigger shows I would see like at the Pepsi Center and stuff. But the actual time, like I think I was like 15 or 14 when I went to like my first venue, like it, and like not like like the Pepsi Center or a big stadium, like a small venue
Right.
was like 14 or 15, and it was a metal show. It was just a local metal show with one of my dad's old school metal bands on the bill. So we went, and there was this one band, local band. They still play. They're still playing. They're called Sling Fist, and I remember seeing them
Huh.
and just like um hearing the shit they were playing. I'm just like, damn, this is good. I started moving my head and getting into it and stuff, and I was like, man, this is awesome. Like this is what I want to be doing. And that's when I kind of realized like how cool the um the metal scene is in Denver, because it's good to know that there's people in Denver that actually appreciate music. It's not like, because I thought, oh, nobody really likes metal in Denver and stuff, but there's so many like great people and great venues that bring in metal bands all the time, and it's just a great a great thing, and I love it. So that was the first time that really opened my eyes to see, wow, this is pretty kick ass. I want to do this. So yeah.
Hell yeah. And I feel like when you're introduced in that let's say analog way, in person way,
Hmm.
it just it's such a different experience, and you're pretty young still. I mean, when I was your
Yeah.
age, that was kind of like my peak of like starting to go to shows and playing shows but even when I was in high school, there was this little spot called Live Spot down in Littleton.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't know, and it was kind of like this Christian organization thing venue, but
Hmm.
like you know back when the scene was like really big, and like
Yeah.
scenesters or whatever you will have you. That was really big, and I think a lot of bands came out of there. I don't know if you ever heard of Breathe Carolina.
No, I'm not.
They kind of got big, but they turned into like kind of this electro pop thing slash screamo thing. But
Oh, okay.
they were more in the hardcore like genre when they started, and a lot of bands were like
Right.
that. And I feel like Denver kind of has these like fluctuations of like, oh, this, metal or hardcore gets really big for a little while and then it like dies out, but then, like it's still around and the influx of population in the Denver scene too is like brought so many different kinds of music and bands around, and it's interesting to see what goes and comes. And I was at the record
Yeah.
store yesterday and over at Wax Tracks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a great place.
Kind of, yeah, and I was just kind of flipping through the local vinyl there, and there were so many bands that I haven't heard of, and I would love to. I should have took note of more of the bands, and checked them out. Some of them I've heard of, some of them
Right.
I haven't, but and I'm sure like it's been kind of weird too, like because you were in high school maybe like for some of the pandemic, huh?
Yeah, no, so the end of my junior year is when COVID hit. And we actually, the last 2 weeks of school, we ended up doing online. And then all my senior year was just online. And then they had the option for like 2 days in school and then 2 days out. but I decided to do the whole online because I was already so used to it, you know. So, but
Right.
yeah, for all my senior year, I did online, and I I probably got the best grades I ever got doing online classes. But yeah,
Nice. Oh, so you did pretty well online.
yeah,
That's
yeah. I
that,
actually a lot of kids didn't actually like the online classes, and I'm like, why? And like they never really gave me a good answer, and I was like, huh. But for me, it was just so much easier, like because most of my teachers were actually pretty straight to the point, and like, I want you to do this and do this, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I would just do that, and then I'd be good. And I literally got like all A's my first and second semesters. So
nice.
yeah, as grades I ever got.
That's awesome, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure it really depends on your personality. I'm sure for some people it could be difficult, like not being in person and like having that, and then some people are kind of,
right.
they do better with that freedom. They can. Were there like did you have to like work on stuff in a certain time of the day, or could you kind of just, this assignment is due tomorrow, just get it done anytime?
Yeah, so some it really depends on the teacher, but most of what the teachers would do is they would have a Zoom class, and you would go to the Zoom and they would tell you they're what we're gonna do for the day and what you need to get done. And then that would take about 15-20 minutes. So then after that, they would let you go like on your own and do the work, and then you would basically be done. So it was pretty easy, but some teachers were different. Like one of my team wanted you to stay in the Zoom while you did your work and stuff, but some were just like, no, you could go on your own and just get it done for tomorrow. And yeah,
Nice. That's cool. That's cool.
yeah,
So
yeah,
let me I'll ask you a couple more questions, and then we'll kind of we'll play that snippet of the song
yeah. Right
on
on.
here.
That sounds good.
Um, so yeah, what are your biggest influences in terms of drumming? Can you name uh, a couple guys that really, I mean, we talked about some bands, but maybe there's some drummers that,
Oh yeah,
maybe within your genre or not within your genre that really influence your drumming.
yeah. So my favorite drummers kind of go back and change over time, but I would have to say some of my favorite drummers right now is one of them that will always be my favorite drummer is Joey Jordison from Slipknot, of course, their original drummer. And I would just when I first started getting into Slipknot, I would just watch him and watch like drum cams of him, and I would watch like how he would play, and he would just like hit so hard, not like so hard, but he would just be giving it his all, and he would be
Right.
headbanging while playing a crazy ass like beat, you know. And then I would um for a couple of his songs look at his feet for his double bass, and he was just playing on a double pedal, and it was like, like fucking machine guns, and I'm just like, oh my, his feet were moving so fast. I was like, oh my gosh. So he's definitely one of my favorite drummers of all time. And then I would have to say probably Dave Lombardo too from Slayer. He just
Hmm.
has like is like, in my opinion, the king of thrash metal, because he started he or in Slayer he does what's called the skank beat, which is just a really fast polka beat, and it's like basically every single thrash beat, so it's just like do that 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 really fast, and
Right.
so that's why he's on there. And then a couple of my more technical drummers are actually from the band, the shirt I'm wearing now, Death.
Nice.
Uh, Sean his name's Sean Rayner, and he played on the Human album that Death released in '91, I believe. And the reason why he's one of my favorites is because on the album Human, Death, that album really hits me because that was like probably some of the most brutal stuff that everybody or anybody's ever heard, and like it really changed the game for death metal that year, because there's this one fill he does in one of the songs called of Lack of Comprehension, where he has two ride cymbals, and he like hits both rides with really fast double bass, and then hits the snare on the, I think it's on the 2 or 4, and it's just like the craziest like shit you've ever heard, and I'm just like, damn, that's crazy. So that's why he's one of my favorites. And then another drummer from Death is Richard Christie, and he played on the last Death album, The Sound of Perseverance, and he was probably the most technical drummer I ever heard. Well, not like I ever heard, but like just in that genre, because like he was doing in that album specifically, like he would be doing like either a thrash metal beat or a death metal beat. Then he would do other stuff along with it, like he'll be hitting a splash on like weird timing and stuff, and like hitting the toms. So you just have to like listen to it for yourself, because I can't really explain it that good, but he has some technical stuff. So, and then another one would probably be Gene Hoglan from he plays with Testament, which is a thrash metal band, but he just announced he's leaving the band this year. And he actually played on two of the Death records, Individual Thought Patterns and Symbolic, which I also really love, because, and he inspires me a lot, because he's this big dude, like huge, but he just shreds on the drums. He plays really fast, super clean, and has amazing, like he has some pretty technical stuff too at times. But yeah, those are some of my favorite drummers right now. But yeah, and of course Neil Peart from Rush. But
Nice. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Neil Peart. Just really technical, really clean, and
oh yeah,
really just plays for the song, you know?
oh yeah,
But
definitely.
I really got to check out more of Death, you know? So many people have, recommended listening to Death, and it seems like they're an instrumental, you know,
Yeah, I would.
part of
Uh,
the death metal scene.
Yeah, I would definitely check him out, because their guitar player Chuck Schuldiner, he's probably one of the most talented guitar players I've ever heard before, because he was just such a genius and way ahead of his time, and the time he was, and he didn't live that long because he got a brain tumor and cancer, but I think he really impacted a lot of people in that short amount of time, that his legacy, because he just wanted to keep going. Like, what was the next biggest thing? What could he do that he hasn't done already, or nobody else has done? And yeah, he's just an amazing guitar player and a great musician, and really really creative. Um, he was, I've heard, he was a little stubborn and stuff, but um, yeah,
Right.
just because he had a different lineup for each record, and it's just each death. I think of Death as like the Pink Floyd of death metal. So, but
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah, I saw some tape decks at the record shop yesterday of Death.
oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I actually got a tape player right here next to me, and have been kind of getting more into it. And I've seen some
Right
other
on.
like some hardcore bands and metal bands releasing um, some tapes along with
Yeah,
some rappers
yeah,
seeming
yeah.
to be getting into that again. And um, it'd be cool to listen to, especially with this tape player I have. It has a built-in amplifier, so it kind of it brings another element of listening to music. Um, anyways, I'm gonna play. Oh, I don't know if you know this, but there's a punk band called Death that I think
Oh,
started
really?
that started around similar time to Death, and I
Mm-hmm.
guess there's been like some issues with who's the original Death, and I guess like the punk band Death claims to be kind of the first original punk band ever.
Really?
Um,
Wow.
so there's been a lot of controversy there, and like
Yeah.
but I would check him out. But anyways, I'm gonna try to play one of your this little snippet of your song here. Um,
Right on. Yeah.
can you hear that?
Yeah.
Is that too loud?
No, it's I can hear it a little bit.
Huh. Because on my end it's super loud. So let's see.
Oh, really? Huh.
Yeah, let's see what I can do to kind of. Nice. That's awesome, man. That is turning
Yeah,
out
thank you.
really fucking good.
Yeah, and that's not even like that's just like a kind of like a demo, or not even a demo, just like a rough scale of it. Um
Nice.
so yeah, there's I cuz I actually I do a different blast in which you'll hear once we actually release it. But yeah, in one of those parts, but that's just the main like gist of it. So
Hell yeah. It's so far the production value is super fucking awesome. And I love the part where the bass comes in real quick.
yeah, yeah.
And it's kind of just a solo bass part, but it's just so dirty.
Yeah, yeah, Garrick,
And
my bass, he has a fucking wicked bass tone.
it's heavy,
Yeah,
man. It's super heavy. And from my experience with trying to record bass, it can be difficult. It can be difficult to like I don't know how you guys did it, but it's like it kind of sounds like the bass is peaking, you know, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not like actually
right.
peaking in the mix, you know? So it
Yeah,
has that kind of like distorted, like um overdrive to it, but it's like it's
yeah,
clean too. Like you can hear what's going on with it,
right, right.
and it was tough with our latest single trying to mix in the bass because there's so many cool bass parts, and I feel like you know the basses don't get enough of the attention, and there's
Oh
so
yeah,
much,
for sure.
especially with a good bass player, there's so much that goes into it,
Right.
and it's tough. It's like, oh yeah, we want the bass to shine in this mix, but also it might take away from the vocals, the in
Yeah.
in some parts, or it might take away from the guitar, or it might take away from the bass drum. So it's so incredibly difficult to mix something and really, bring out that bass. But you can tell that the bass was purposely brought out more in that part.
Yeah. Yeah, no, when we were thinking about like, cause they already had like my lead guitarist Will already had like some of the riffs written and stuff, but we came together as a band and Garrick wanted to have a little bass solo he said I want to have a bass solo somewhere, and then we all agreed before we go into the main you know uh fast part, why doesn't Garrick do a bass solo before I count us in and we go into that? And so I'm when I cuz my lead guitarist Will actually recorded or had a drum pad that he just like used and sent me like rough draft of it, of what it would sound like, and then he said here's a rough draft and a bass of what we kind of want it to sound like, but you can feel free to add your own style and do whatever you want, honestly. So and I heard that and I was just blown away because it sounded so like nasty and awesome. But yeah.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. Well, I'm stoked to hear more of what you guys got in the future, and you guys already have an album out right now, right?
Yeah, Incessant Awakening is out basically on all streaming platforms. So yeah.
Nice. And once again, that is Catalyst. If you guys want to go check that out. Um, so you know, a lot of this podcast is about music, but for me, I kind of like to see like what other things inspire, the guest that aren't, necessarily music related, but do inspire
Yeah.
you musically.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm like trying to think of like I'm like, what else inspires me besides music? um,
I mean, maybe music is the only thing that inspires you. That's totally fine, Rylan.
yeah, a lot of honestly, I'm a terrible drawer and a terrible artist, but I really like I really just like seeing really cool art in general because that's why I clicked on Kato's band profiles because the art stood
Right.
out. So, and that's the really cool thing about music is because the album art is like another total part, another story or explains the album, And so I think because like you have art like paintings and stuff, that, like which is in their own way, and then you have another style of art which is music, but it's music. So, and I think those together are like um amazing and just like beautiful, honestly. So
Yeah, I agree. I think so many musicians kind of look over that part of
hmm
the 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 band experience, and
Right.
it's like, you know, they kind of have this attitude. It's like, oh, you know, the music is good. Like, you know, it doesn't really matter what the 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 album artwork looks like or the logo or you know, and it's like, yeah, but you know, it's kind of, I always see it as like the album artwork is like the plate that the meal is served on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
If you go to a restaurant and they got like this, you know, shitty looking plate that you know you might have at home, you know,
Right.
and it's like it's less appetizing, you know, it
Yeah,
really is,
exactly.
and
Yeah.
it's like I can't tell you how many like bands I've been drawn in just by the album artwork, you know, and be like, oh, that's really cool.
Right.
Like I want to check this out simply for the fact that this album artwork looks awesome. There's this local band, I won't name them, but they're a pretty good band. And then you know, every time I see their album artwork, I'm just like, it upsets me.
Disappointed. Yeah.
Cause you know, and they could have really taken the time like to find, you know, just a little bit more time to find like another artist or pay, you know, someone just like a couple $100 or something to come up with something really cool,
Right.
you know what I mean? And I've
Yeah.
been in bands in the past where it was just so looked over. It was just like,
Oh yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
you know, and that but I agree. I'm often inspired by, you know, really talented,
Yeah.
you know, visual
Um.
artists, you know. It's kind of like,
Right. Fun. Real quick. Fun fact about the artwork for the first album, Incessant and Awakening. Um. That I wasn't there, of course. I'm not playing drums on that album because I'm the new guy basically, and
right.
but the other drummer, I'm actually, it's funny story. I'm actually good friends with him, and he now plays in my lead guitarist's other band, which is they play brutal technical death metal, and he's an insane drummer. He's like a robot. But they all pitched in money for the artwork, and the album artwork was about $1,400. So,
Damn.
and the artist that did it actually did a bunch of other big metal like artwork artwork for them. Like he did Exodus, he did oh, what's the other band? I can't think of them, but they did he did a bunch of huge metal bands artwork and the brutal metal bands. So I think he even has um the Catalyst album on his page. I forgot his name. I'll have to ask lead guitarist, but yeah, that's a little fun fact about the album artwork.
Let me see if I could find it here. Can you spell your band name again?
Catalyst, Katallysk.
OYsk. Incessant Awakening.
Yeah, that's it.
Let me see if I could. Yeah, that is insane artwork. Let me see if I can share it. Share the
Yeah,
screen here.
yeah. And we will have him do the um artwork for the second album and the third album as well, because we can't just change it up from the first album and stuff. But oh yeah, there you go.
Nice. So you
Yeah,
said you're gonna have them for the next album too?
yeah, and probably the third album, I would imagine, because it's gonna involve like the beast right there is the catalyst. So this just a quick brief of the first album. It's basically like a science experiment gone wrong kind of thing, and the
Hmm.
catalyst was created, and the people are just now realizing that this thing is out there. So that's what the first album really explains. And then the second album will be about the fighting and going against people and everybody going against the catalyst. And then the third album will be about the aftermath of uh, the catalyst. So yeah, that's just a quick little backstory on each.
Nice, man. That's cool. It's cool that you kind of have a story behind it too. And I think that makes
Yeah.
the music so much more interesting. And I think that's also like a really important piece of the puzzle that, some
Oh yeah,
musicians
definitely.
are missing out on. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's not like everyone cares, but I'm sure like
Right.
your big fans will care about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Especially if you make it known. If you make it known, like,
Yeah.
like this is more of the story behind Catalyst. So
Right. Mhm.
hell yeah, man! I'm looking forward to checking it out more, and
Yeah.
we do this little jam thing that we've been getting going here in Denver
Yeah. Yeah.
over at Karma House, and if you're in Denver, come check it out. It's Karma House every other Sunday now, and it's everyone is welcome. Doesn't matter what instrument you play, doesn't whatever genre you play, whatever level you're at. I'm really trying to get encourage people to come and just play music. And so
Oh
if
yeah.
you're in Denver, that'll be every other Sunday, like I said. So the next one will be February 6th. And real quick, Rylan, you got any funny stories from you playing
Yeah.
shows or like or going to shows or
I do actually. I have two. One of them is when I wasn't before I was in the band, but I was watching like their old videos of them playing live, and they were playing at Trailside Saloon, and so they had this whole intro before the first song, and Will, my lead guitar player, he before he went into it, he hits his distortion pedal, but it's still on the clean channel, and he's playing the riff, and then he hits it again. He finally gets the distortion. I just think it's hilarious because Damien or Diana, my rhythm guitar player, just looks at him and just laughs, and it's the funniest shit. But yeah. And then the other one, it was actually our first show at the Oriental Theater, so it was like the rebirth of Catalyst with their new drummer, me, and so we were about to go into the next song, but which my rhythm guitar player starts, and he started playing the wrong riff to the next song, and I was like, wait, what the fuck is going on, you know? And then
right.
finally my lead guitar player just plays the actual riff, and I'm like, okay, see, because I was like, wait, I'm pretty sure it's this song and then that song, and then so it was funny, but
Nice.
yeah, those are my highlights so far. Funny stories.
Right on. So you guys played it off well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We played it because we just acted like, oops, we forgot it was. Yeah. We actually our next big show is at the Marquee, and it's a little death metal thrash metal festival they do every couple years, and we're trying to get a bigger kind of gore grind band to play, or they're actually death metal, I should say, but they're called Ghoul, and they're pretty big, so they might come down, but we're not for certain about it. But that's our next big show with April 30th at the Marquee, and
Nice.
my project band will actually be opening that show, so I'll be playing twice, so that's pretty cool.
Nice. A little double dip of Rylan Torres.
Yep.
I'll have to check that show out, man.
Yeah,
That sounds really
definitely.
cool.
Yeah,
Hopefully the other band comes down.
yeah, there's going to be a lot of great local death and thrash metal bands there. My lead guitarist's other band will be playing with Catalyst that night, and a couple other local great local death metal bands. So yeah, it'll be a great time, and a lot of people will be there. So I'm stoked for it.
Hell yeah, man. Well, look forward to that. And let me see if I got any more questions for you. We just went over an hour, so um, you got any questions or you got anything you'd like to talk about?
No, I just want to real quick. I just there's a couple band. Well, one band I've been listening to lately is called Barn, like an actual barn, and they're from
Hmm.
I know I'm gonna fuck this up saying it. They're from Boise, Idaho, and they're a couple of 17-year-olds, and there's four of them, and they're just starting to like get their music out there, and they're really starting to take off, and they play like kind of like um what Death plays, like kind of technical death metal, and it's really their genre is just really, or their music is just really interesting, and I love it. It's just because the drummer is fantastic, the bass, they're all fantastic musicians, and they're so young. So I just been checking them out a lot, but I just want to shout out
Nice.
them, and yeah. But other than that,
Awesome.
that's about it.
Hell yeah, Rylan. So you guys got a website? Are you guys on Facebook? You on the Instagram?
Oh yeah, Catalyst has a Facebook. We're on Bandcamp, Instagram. Our Bandcamp's got all our merch and our CDs and whatnot, so you can go order stuff up there, and we'll ship it out to you or give it to you if you come to one of our shows. And but yeah, at our shows we always have our merch, and yeah, so I just we got patches that are kind of limited edition,
Nice.
because after we go through this bunch, we're gonna not make them anymore. So I have about 14 of them. So uh, anybody hit me up for patches? They're $5, and yeah, you could get a limited edition Catalyst patch.
Hell yeah, get those patches before they're gone.
Yeah, and
That's cool, man.
I just ordered a bunch of stickers. I give those out for free. So just hit me up if you want one. I'll gladly give one to you. And yeah.
Fuck yeah, man. Well, thank you so much, Rylan, for coming on the show.
Yeah,
And
thank you
I'm
so much for having me.
yeah, man. I'm sure I'll be running into you soon here, and yeah, we'll have to have you back on the show one day.
Hell yeah. Thanks, Quinn.
Yeah, man. Thanks for listening to anybody who has been watching.
Hell yeah.
Peace.
Peace.